speaker, and I'm thrilled to be sharing with you a little bit on a virtual talk about technology and the future of technology and the trends we need to have in our leadership programs across the country. What I really believe we have to do is related to this quote by Deal. In order to move forward, we have to let go of our past and be ready to move on and grab onto new ideas. Doesn't mean we don't take the great foundations we have in the field, but it also says that we have to move forward with thinking about new thoughts and including technology.
Sam, could you tell me a little bit about your background related to technology before you came into the program and what you knew or didn't
I
know?
would consider myself normal as far as the technology factor would be concerned. I, as a teacher, would send emails. I had a class website, used Remind 101 to send texts to my students.
About as leaders in the field in technology. Well, the first thing is we got to be thinking about getting gritty. And Angela Duckworth's work in Grit says that really technology makes us gritty. If you're the person who will fix the printer all night long until it works, you're the person who's ready to grab onto these new things. If not us, then we need to prepare our scholars to be gritty so they can prepare teachers to prepare students to be gritty in the future. We also need to keep track of trends, and if you haven't seen or you don't keep track with the New Media Consortium report, every year it tells us where technology is coming out 5, 3, and 1 years from now. We know that flipped classrooms and bring your own device are already in the mainstream. Where do we need to go in the future? We need to be thinking about wearable technology. How can we use that to impact kids with learning disabilities, kids with behavior disorders? Also, how do we use maker spaces? How do we take spaces and put kids in groups and have them make new ideas and new thinking, which is really where we want all kids to go, including kids with disabilities. And then our teachers need to be ready and our leaders need to be ready to think about adaptive learning technologies that learn what kids know and what they don't know and move forward, and being ready for the Internet of Things, where we start to put things together and take data and information and practices and games and build a new way of thinking about how to use all this information and build a model that makes an impact on students' learning. We also have to think about, in this report, it gives us solvable challenges, difficult challenges, and wicked challenges. And the one that I find most intriguing is integrating personalized learning. Isn't it fascinating that as a field, we ask teachers to individualize instruction and do personalized learning for kids? Yet do we in higher ed, do we in teacher ed, do we in leadership programs really do personalized learning plans for our students? And how do we integrate personalized learning in what we're doing related to both the use of technology? For example, here at UCF, we have a checklist. Our students tell us what they know, we give them experiences in what they don't know. That's really where we need to go in the future. We need to think about technologies such as how do we remotely coach? How do we use Bluetooth earpieces? How do we use this concept of micro-credentialing, this wonderful idea of dissecting teacher ed into smaller pieces and using technology, using games, using coaching to give teachers missing skills they have. So how do we get into that movement? If you haven't followed this initiative, Digital Promise.org has a whole initiative on micro-credentialing, not only for teacher ed, but also for the workforce, including working with kids with disabilities. How do we think about this at UCF? Well, we have 2 micro-credentials that have been created by 2 doc students at our university in our Teach Live lab. And so we have a micro-credential on co-planning and a micro-credential on positive statements that are really a part of their creation of thinking about how to use technology, simulation, and best practices in teacher education.
Could you tell me a little bit about what you know about technology now that you've been a doctoral student?
I am a student with a disability myself. I was diagnosed as learning disabled in 3rd grade, and prior to being in this program, and I'm embarrassed to admit this, but I didn't know what Bookshare was. And now I use it. And when I found out about it, I had to call all of my teacher friends, which after 15 years of being a teacher are quite a few, and let them know that this was out there. And sadly, not a whole lot of us knew. So now it's being used around these parts. Besides the fact that I'm using it, I have an iPad that my funding through this program has purchased for me to use, as well as a laptop. And I use specifically the iPad to read my textbooks. I seem to do better with that. That's on my front. However, it is kind of interesting the work I'm doing as a doc student. I am working in simulation. Didn't think I would ever hear myself say that. And I am working on micro-credentialing in the area of 4-to-1 praise using a simulator.
We also should be thinking about things such as 3D printing. How do we use these tools in areas such as mathematics for kids with visual impairments to learn to use these items in a math class? There's limited possibilities to not only get kids to engage in design, but also to learn. And that's really the point of what technology. We shouldn't worry about buying more stuff. We should worry about what we want to do with that stuff to help kids learn. And then a little bit with simulation. That's on the horizon. Simulators have been used for years in the military, but starting to move into education. I'm one of the 3 creators of Teach Live, a simulated classroom environment where we can train teachers using avatars. It's a mixed reality environment where we put humans and avatars together and create a real experience. And it's called sandbox technology, where what we're able to do is get you to play in the sandbox and fail. And we can decouple content and pedagogy, and you can play with the avatars in any way you want. But if you fail, you can get up and try again, and no children are harmed in that process. The other thing that we should be thinking about in the future is what's on the horizon. Well, in the world of simulation, we now have parent avatars. We are currently building avatars that are high school students, avatars with disabilities. We have 2 new avatars, Martin, who's a student with autism, and Bailey, who's a student with an intellectual disability, created in partnership with students with disabilities here at our campus, and including DOC students. We also have lots of other uses. Could be used for IEP meetings, could be used for teaching science concepts through a virtual bed. We can even have a physical virtual avatar, where the possibility of using robotics and simulation together creates a whole new world for teacher educators to think about the future. And here's our 4D robot. We can actually overlay our avatar into a 4D robot and make it come to life and do what they need to do. We can even start to think about in the future, how do we print our own 3D homes and take care of kids having new job skills and being able to build a home, maybe sitting at their desk. And so again, the future is endless, but here's what I know, and here's what I want to end with, is a quote that says, the illiterate of the 21st century won't be those who can't read and write, but those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. Thank you, Rams. What's changed from when you were in the classroom as a scholar in technology and your thinking to today?
What changed was before I came to UCF, when I viewed technology, it was an iPad application that I would look at, or it was a PC computer. And becoming a project lead scholar now at UCF, I know about physical virtual avatars and gaming simulation, and looking at the ways that those can combine the social barriers and content barriers within schools, and how accessibility features can incorporate students' successes in learning.
And so what do you think that's going to change in the future of the way you prepare teachers or as a leader in our field?
Well, I'm looking through a UDL lens, which is representation, expression, engagement. And when I'm thinking about preparing future educators, I'm looking at ways that they could build online courses, game-based learning environments, and putting together technologies that are going to benefit the students in what they view in the content and how they express themselves.